Ah, greetings, salutations, and welcome to a video explaining something that I've taken a very long time to believe in, but it is absolutely true. The most expensive thing in the world is a cheap Mercedes-Benz. I'll explain why after the intro. Okay, this video may or may not form part of a video series about sort of an ownership update on this 2000 model year W202 C280 Auto Elegance, because it is quite important to explain why it is easy and cheap to buy a Mercedes-Benz, a used one or an old one, but it is horribly expensive, sometimes scary, to maintain, repair or refurbish them. I've been through that a couple of times, so I have quite a bit of authority on that topic or subject. Right. They, like I said, they are cheap to buy. The normal models have fairly normal prices like this, a C-Class, an E-Class. If it's not an AMG or a special model, their value goes down. This is of course regional as well. Our used car market is slightly higher than overseas. Especially a couple of years ago, these were worth nothing. I think nice 202s are starting to pick up. By the way, if you want a whole documentary on the W202, please let us know in the comments and we will fast track it in front of the other documentaries that I have planned. The sporty or AMG or special models are not only more expensive to buy, they are also infinitely more expensive to maintain. The brakes are special, the body kit is different, the gearbox might be different, the engine, oh my goodness, everything has AMG tax on it or exotic tax. And Mercedes-Benz up to a few years ago used to have this reputation that they still make every part. Yeah, they silently dropped that. They do not make every part anymore. In fact, like 204s and 205s, I believe, they're even struggling to get like normal service parts, which I'll get to as well. As the next thing I want to touch on is how far are you personally willing to go? Because if you're going to buy a cheap used Mercedes, it's going to be worn and torn. It's going to be well loved and well used. People in the Mercedes-Benz Club of South Africa that I'm a member of will tell you buy the best one, and they are right. Find the one that is in the best condition, irrespective of mileage and spec. I unfortunately don't believe in that. I buy according to spec and color and options, which means I often end up with dogs that need lots of love. So again, I'm asking, what do you want to do with the car? Do you just want to enjoy it as a classic? Do you want to keep it running, or do you want to make it perfect? Because there'll be occasional costs if you run a car, like pumps and shocks and service and all of that. But for a normal daily usable condition, it can get costly every now and then. I can elaborate in terms of this car or others I have as well. This car, there'll be a video in the series with a complete breakdown. And I think I also stated in another one, I don't want this car to be perfect or immaculate. Although in South Africa a car is immaculate if it still has four wheels. It can be rusted and crashed and the interior dog bitten and eaten and flea infested, and they'll call it immaculate or perfect or showroom condition. They never specify which showroom, which brings us back to this. Do you want this to be in a showroom somewhere down the main street of a little village, or do you want this to be in a showroom at Pebble Beach, Concours d'Elegance? That will also determine how much you're going to spend. Perfect condition or perfect restoration, good luck. I did a full restoration on my other 202 and it cost not just money, it costs time and effort just to find all the parts and to find someone who's going to be good enough to do it. And then in the end, it is 95% where I want it, and I've decided I do not want 100%. It's just going to ruin my life. So I also said once it came out of the spray booth that I would be the first one to put a scratch on it, but inadvertently I was, or indirectly, because the car died, because the battery, and it took so long that to redo the car that the battery was bad, and I had locked it and we couldn't get in the car, so my good mechanic friend did his best to break into the top of the passenger door, and he scratched the paint there. So he put the first scratch on. You know what? I've left it, because now it's not perfect anymore. Because perfect cars make me nervous, and then I won't drive it, and then no, I'm not that kind of person. If you are, you're in for a lot of money with an older Mercedes. Right, next on my notes, perhaps you should have. What should I have? That makes no sense. Okay, next on my notes is again that other saying, buy the best one that you can. So if you're looking for a 202 or a 210 or a 212 or whatever, and you don't care about engine or spec or whatever, just shop around, go highest price, which isn't always the best, but you know what I mean. Go for condition. Go for the one that has the best history, that has the best ownership and upkeep, maintenance, body, cosmetic, interior, and mechanical. Because sometimes you get a car that has low mileage and looks cosmetically good, but it's been standing a long time, and then you can run into problems. But the overall idea is to go for a car that has the best condition. You're going to pay more, but you're going to spend less in the long run because someone has kept up with the maintenance. We'll turn that down a bit. Someone has kept up with the maintenance, and the car is in excellent condition. You probably can't choose spec, which is something I like to do, that you can get a car that has the color you like, the options you like, that beggars can't be choosers, or in this case you can't really always find the one you want. If you're going for condition, it might be a boring or even a poverty spec, and that's the way it is, but you'll enjoy the car because there's less to go wrong or less to do. By the way, another thing I do believe in, don't be afraid of old Mercedes-Benzes with a bit of mileage. If there is a full or some sort of comprehensive history, if it's got a file, if it's got double the mileage that you want, most people, it's a psychological thing, 100,000 kilometers or 60,000 miles or 100,000 miles. If you're looking for a car that has less than 100,000 miles or kilometers, but you find one that's got 150 or 125, don't walk away, especially if it is in the condition you want and it has an immaculate service history, a proper immaculate, to the book, to the number, to the year. I would not shy away from that car. Yes, there are certain gotchas, and there are other videos that will explain which models or engines to stay away from, but in general, if a car has been well maintained, I wouldn't be afraid to go for one that has a little bit of mileage or more than you would like. The next thing we should talk about is parts supply, because as I said earlier, MB, they used to stock every single part, but they don't anymore. Very sad. I hope they pick that up again. They would even source it or remake it for you, but nowadays it's a lottery. Most items are NLA at the dealer, which means no longer available. Even service items on newer models are sometimes not available. Scrapyards and part cars can help. We've got 1 or 2 part cars and some good Mercedes-Benz classic and modern classic scrapyards in our area. Some aftermarket parts are available from Bosch, Bilstein and all of that. And then we have aftermarket part suppliers. You can call them pirate part as well. Goldwagen, Master Parts. Overseas there's the higher end stuff like SL Shop, Niemöller, what are they called, for the SLs and all of that. And of course you have eBay and Amazon and classifieds and all of that. Plus 3D printing is really helping with some of the cosmetic or trim items, especially inside. You will have substantial savings if you can service the car yourself or repair it yourself. If you can. I can't. I've got 2 left hands. I can do small cosmetic things. I love cleaning and polishing, for instance. Again, how far do you want to compromise? If you only want to do minimum servicing, you only fix what's essential, you can use cheap or pirate parts. I don't mind a cheap or aftermarket part as long as it's not something really essential like brakes or shocks. I might spend a bit more on those, but like aircon compressors, That's not essential to driving. There I'll take a pirate part or an aftermarket part. If you want decent servicing and you fix things when they are breaking or about to break, pirate parts are okay. If you are a saint, you are an angel from heaven, and I worship the ground you walk on, you will service the car very regularly, perhaps even every 5 or 10,000 kilometers or miles. You'll replace worn parts because you don't like the look of them, and you will use only OEM parts. That is going to cost a pretty penny, and you won't always find OEM, but that is what these cars are deserving of. You would be a very good person to do that, and the kind of person that everybody wants to buy a car from, because it's been well used but well loved. There are decent savings if you, like me, use an independent shop or a mechanic. Find an MB specialist who knows all the old tricks. So the mechanic or two that I use, they trained on 123s, W202s, so they know those and all the models preceding and succeeding it and around it. 202s, I've also got a guy who's very good with them. He owns one. So find an indie or a backyard mechanic. I don't mind, as long as they have the knowledge. And I think I've also, I said all the old tricks. Someone who knows the snowball effects that might happen, or who knows a trick how to do something. That is the kind of person you are looking for. Or you can find an MB sympathetic garage, a multi-franchise garage, or even a rival brand, an Audi or BMW independent workshop, but they are friendly towards Mercedes-Benz and they have a good reputation. I wouldn't be hesitant to use that. It's also good if someone refurbishes or reuses parts, or they use pirate parts where it's acceptable and they don't do too much extra servicing or charge you for random things like air filters or spark plugs that don't have to be replaced yet. But again, that depends on how far you want to go with the maintenance and upkeep of the car. It's also cheaper if you can fix or repair or replace cosmetic items. Now that's something I like doing. I spend a lot of time looking for little bits and bobs and trying my luck on these cheap cars. There's not much you can do wrong. If I break that, whoop-de-doo, I've covered that one in vinyl, in stick-on Temu vinyl. I'll just do that again. It took me an hour, maybe less because I've done it twice. And I love that. It's a good afternoon spent tinkering with an old car. Sounds like a good deal to me. In summary, a classic or old Mercedes-Benz will cost you relative to the price of the car. So if you buy a really cheap one, it'll get really expensive. If you buy a really good one for a high end of the used market, it won't cost too much to maintain it. Or in relation to what you expect from the car. Do you want to just buy it and beat it until it dies? I hate you. Do you want to just have a good daily runner, which is what we want with this? Great. Then you don't need to fix everything. I fixed the aircon because otherwise I'd be melting now. But there are still a few things that are broken on this. Are you interested in which models or engines to look out for? That I would recommend you look for the specific series you want. We've only done Mercedes-Benz W116 so far. We started on the 123, we haven't done that yet. I've done C43 mini documentary, and we've done engines. We have done engine vlogumentaries, Mikhail and I, the co-owner of this car, and I. If you're interested in that, have a look and let me know what you think of this video and if I forgot anything. Thanks so much for watching. See you on the next one. Bye. Suzuki Franks in white. Good car.